Welcome back to the Nobby on Cars YouTube channel. This is the all-new Skoda Fabia, or Skoda Fabia, if I'm pronouncing it exactly as I should. We've had a look at this car already in the summer of 2021 when we were lucky to go to Gdansk to have a look at the car, much closer to where it's produced. But here in Dublin, it has landed at under €20,000, which by today's standards for a car that is a small compact car but has a Skoda badge on the front, that's pretty good going. Space wise, boot is bigger than the Ford Fiesta, a little bit bigger than the Volkswagen Polo, but it's that kind of size of car. Active, ambition and style are the three trim specs. This one is a style and it's not even €22,000, and it's got clever things, simply clever things and actual clever things like aerodynamic alloy wheels which reduce drag. You can get up to 18-inch alloys on it. We've got a black toned roof and A-pillars going on with the car, and as an all-round small car I think it's really good. In Ireland there's two 1-litre engines. You've got the MPI, which is 60 odd brake horsepower, and then you've got the 1-litre TSI, which is just under 100 brake horsepower, but we're not getting the 1.5 150 brake horsepower Fabia. I'm not sure it would sell particularly well in Ireland, and for the size of the car, do you actually need it? But speaking of the size of the car, they've managed to fit an awful lot in, so it's gotten bigger on the inside compared to the previous model. The boot is 380 litres, which is not quite, Focus golf size boot, but it's not far off it. You can get a simply clever pack for your boot. In fact, you can tailor lots of different things with this car. If you did watch the video, in fact it's up there if you want to have a look at it, the first look of the car in Gdansk, the boot had a parcel shelf that sat down here, and then you can get a little extra bit of boot cover that comes out here and protects your bumper from dog scratches, and you can sit down and lace your boots and stuff. So you can really tailor the car to what you want. Because it's a Skoda, you still get standard shopping bag hooks, little elasticated things to hold on to bits, and down here it's becoming rarer and rarer, but there is a full spare tyre that you can use, spare wheel to change the car, and jacks and everything. No gunk anywhere on this Fabia whatsoever, and there is a little handle that helps you close the boot in one sweeping movement. The latest Skoda Fabia also has the new style of Skoda badging across the back of the car, and the lights are very cool looking. They're not LEDs, you can spec them, but they're not a standard. Front lights, however, are LED. And just think about how recently enough, in terms of years, you would have yellow halogens in the front of a car at this price point. And that's a thing of the past. And I think you'd agree that's a good thing. These are very small, apparently for aerodynamics, but they're very small mirrors, in my opinion anyway. Skoda include cutouts at the back of the seats here for mobile devices. You can stick in the pockets. You get two USB-C ports at the back of this car if you spec them. Again, for 60 quid or so, you can have them. You can tailor-make the car into, I suppose, things that are more important to you. I'm not 6 foot, about 5'10". This seat, this much leg room. Obviously the front passenger can go a bit more forward if you've got flexibility there. You've got isofix points on either side and one in the front passenger, and you will fit child seats into the back. It's not a problem. You don't get an armrest. Again, this kind of compact car, it'd be rare that you do. The windows, however, go all the way down, which again is rare enough these days. And there's a couple of hooks for coats and things. Again, stuff that you might just find missing on other cars at this price point. So it's not vast back here, but it is comfortable. And on longer journeys, you can adjust your headrest support, and you know what, apart from the obvious lack of somewhere to really put your elbows, it's not bad. These door handles here, they look kind of cool and they're easy enough to open and close. I've seen some people say that they're kind of, I don't know, weird, but I find them okay. I like the twisty dials, the strip that goes through the car. Again, the one we tested in Poland was kind of a coppery rose gold vibe to it. You can tailor that bit. The armrest is here, and there is somewhere to store, and of course there is even a 12 volt because it's Skoda, but you can't adjust it, so it doesn't slide back and forward. It's not always going to be the most comfortable place to sit in. Climate control has physical buttons. Still, you can operate it with twisty knobs that people really like. The layout and finish of it doesn't necessarily feel overly cheap. Your two-spoke wheel that you get in things like the Octavia here, you can get digital displays, but we've got needles going on and it's not particularly colourful, so it gives you all the basic information, but that's kind of it. Now, if you want to be a safety conscious driver, for example, you can spec things like rear view camera, €317. You can get front and rear parking sensors for €371. If you want LED headlights including a side cornering function, that's nearly €1,000. So you can see easily how some things will probably be a priority and others you'd be like, yeah, I don't really need that. Privacy glass, £175, not too bad. A multi-function heated sports leather steering wheel, €284. You might want that on cold mornings. And you hook up your CarPlay, you don't get nav on this, and you get all your maps and everything up to date with your phone via the cable. Again, 2 USB-Cs down here, and that keeps everybody happy. Sunglasses holder still comes with the car, and if you want a USB-C point for a dash cam, there's one up here as well. However, for that luxury, it's £42, but if you like having a dash cam, it's well worth it because you have cables going absolutely everywhere. In the manual gearbox, it's a 7-speed automatic if you go for that, but the manual gearbox is a 5-speed. I do find at times you'd kind of love a 6th. It would just, the car has a decent enough amount of torque and at motorway speeds, I just think it would be nice just chugging along in that 6th gear. Even now I find myself kind of just grabbing for it. It's like, it drives so well. Again, you really don't, I think in the past, if you were driving a car at this price point, you'd really feel like it cost what it cost. Behind the wheel of this car, I mean, obviously it's grown in size too, but you really could be behind the wheel of a Golf. And I can't say there's huge differences in terms of how it feels behind the wheel. Even with this barely 100 brake horsepower car, it's fine. You know, 1 litre engines aren't what they used to be in the past. And if you find yourself doing a lot of city driving, I think this car will actually be more than enough for what you're going to want. The steering is light, so again, that lends itself nicely to a city driving setup. On the 18-inch alloy wheels, yeah, you feel a few more lumps and bumps in the road, but I'd never call it harsh. There isn't even much noise off the tyres. If this was going to be your first car, I think you'd be very, very happy. My first car was a Ford Fiesta, and it was grand, but it wasn't as nice as this. I'd go as far to say that if this car doesn't win an award for the category of car that it's in by the end of this year or this time next year, I'd be very, very surprised. There's no diesel in it. There isn't an electric version of the Fabia coming, and there's also no RS version of the Fabia coming, because when I was in Gdansk, I asked some of the people who are serious players in Skoda, they know the answers to these questions, and they just said, look, RS would be cool unless it's going to sell in the UK and Germany in decent amounts. Skoda just won't make it, so sadly that's not going to happen with this car. We also need to get back into a little bit of a love affair with hatchbacks, because they're generally better to drive. They're more engaging to drive. I know that seems kind of mad. What, an engaging 1 litre petrol? I'm not messing. You know, you just feel like you're lower down, there's less body roll. They're just better crack to drive. And because of the assault from crossovers and SUVs, although I hate calling crossovers SUVs because they're just not, we've kind of forgotten about how practical a hatchback is and how much better they are to drive. And this is a perfect example of it. It's not even noisy under load. It's like, Skoda, what have you done with this car? Are you sure you're making money on it? Because it really is good. Very good. Fuel economy is around 7 litres per 100 kilometres. Now that's me driving when there isn't much traffic, probably taking advantage of clearer roads. It's claimed that you'll get around 5 litres. You probably would on a longer stretch. I'm not going to necessarily deny that, but my experience has been sort of 7, and on really short journeys when the engine is cold, it might be 10. litres per 100 kilometres. But obviously that's just a very short burst of time. The whole point of having a 1 litre that still has a bit of poke and can do reasonable fuel economy, I think somewhere around 7 is perfectly acceptable. So it's a thumbs up for me. A really good city car, and if that's what you're looking for, you're not going to go wrong with the new Fabia. I just hope it's not another model that's going to fall victim to shortages, because chips and shortages are just, they seem like a natural thing if you want to buy a new car in 2022. So hopefully the Fabia isn't as affected, and you can jump into one as soon as. If you are trading down, I think you'll be happy. And if you're used to a super mini sized car, you're going to love it. So I think for everyone, it's a win-win. So that's the Fabia. If everyone did cheap motoring as well as Skoda do in this car, the world would be a better place. You can't sniff at the price. It's under 20 grand. Even if you want the higher spec style model, it's not exactly crazy money. And you're getting into something that, well, has a Skoda badge. And these days, that actually means quite a lot. If you want to support us on the channel, you can hit subscribe, you can comment, you can like, you can Patreon us, you can PayPal us a tip, whatever way you want to do it. It's all fully independent here on Nobby on Cars. And I'll see you on the next one.